Yes, we're going to go to Mr. Okoye because, I mean, the questions concerning what we just saw now at the moment. But I just wonder what happens by the time Mr. Okoye leaves the studios and goes back to office or situation room. Fortunately, we can't have live access to
no
the situation room on live feed. Well, let's see. Let's get back to Mr. Okoye in Abuja at the moment, but we will just in a moment. But at the moment, don't forget that lots of tweets coming through for those who are raising concerns about what's going on in Lagos, which we're asking. But Mr. Okoye, what we just saw concerning those ballot boxes, a number of issues. Number one, if the officials, INEC ad hoc officials themselves, model that up in terms of which ballot for presidential, senatorial, and for the House of Representatives, does that speak to the voter awareness that went on for this?
Well, all the presiding officers and all the ad hoc staff have been properly trained in relation to the ballot box that is supposed to be for the presidential election, the one that is supposed to be for the senatorial, and the one that is supposed to be for the House of Representatives. But I really presume that what is important in this particular matter is the labeling of the ballot boxes. Each registration area has a supervisor and also has monitors and also have rack technicians. The supervisor is supposed to be moving around to make sure that all the presiding officers and all the ad hoc staff in all the polling units conform to the rules and regulations and to the procedures already mapped out for this particular election. They are supposed to be sure that the location of the cubicle guarantees some level of secrecy. They are also supposed to make sure that all the materials that are supposed to be at the polling units are at the polling units, and if any material is missing, that they supply the material as quickly as possible. But these are just the early teething problems. We are going to get things right. Everybody on the queue, we have an opportunity of voting. And responding to the earlier question that was raised, most of the elderly people have voted in previous elections. They know the procedures, they know the rules, and they know the process of engagement and the protocols. So we don't have any challenge with them. The new voters that constitute over 51% of the registered voters are mostly students who are on Twitter, who are on Facebook, and who watch television and listen to the radio. So the issue of they are knowing what the rules of engagements are is completely is not an issue. I believe that this process is going to run smoothly, and wherever there are challenges and problems, we have the capacity to deal with those problems. We have the capacity to deal with those challenges. And in some of these polling units where you see you have 10 polling units in a place, some of them are registration area centers, so they had to wait for everybody to move out to their own polling units before they begin to set up in their own polling units. But everybody will vote in this election. And even if it takes 10 p.m. in the night for the last voter to cast his or her vote, the process will continue. So we don't have fears at all. There will be hiccups here and there, but we have this process under control.
Dr. Abdul, from what we have seen so far, what you also have seen, it would seem as if people need constant and consistent reminders about the process. For instance, you saw the labeling of the boxes, the misplacements of the leads, and of course what the Mr. Peter Obidia had to ask, for the boxes to be turned. Do you see this as any issue that could give the voter any concern today?
I don't see it as that much a concern. Probably we saw it, and I was having this chat with Festus on this side of the table. Yes, it's true, there was that misplacement, and it created a level of confusion. And probably if it wasn't somebody like Peter Peter was there and that would be given a quick attention, maybe it could generate to something different. I think there are concerns largely related to the size of the ballot papers, for instance. The number of presidential, for instance, you have about 73 political parties on the ballot paper. It is quite unprecedented. Nigerians are not used to that. If you look at this particular dispensation, we started from 3 political parties in 1999. The number gradually increased, but it has never been any time where we had more than up to 73 political parties on our ballot. The sizes of the logos of the political parties are quite small, and therefore makes thumb printing a bit difficult. But luckily, they are using a different ink that could dry almost immediately, so there may not be any possibility of messing up. But we could see a possibility that people who are not learned enough will probably thumbprint different political parties, maybe something that looks very close to theirs. And then there's a possibility managing, of course, we are used to managing 3 ballot papers. It's been at a time that we have that history. But again, occasionally we had situations where people drop a different ballot into a different box, and that could also create another problem. Voter education is a continuous process, because every election, particularly in our own context, is a different process. Rules change as we try to perfect our systems. Some of the, like the last elections, we had to go through accreditation before we vote, but this time around we are going through a simultaneous process. Yes, there are still people who are not too sure of what it looks like. Even as at yesterday, a nephew called me and we're having a conversation, and he said, no, he will first go and do the accreditation, then he will go back to vote. And I said, my friend, that is not what we have this time around. Probably you're not listening to radio. You thought you are used to elections, so that's normal. But things have changed. Now we are having it simultaneously. So people need to be properly educated to understand this. The next election will also be different. So at all times, it's a continuous process to ensure that we are all on the same page with this. Right. The same thing about the electoral officers. Yes, people go through the same kind of training, orientations, and all that, but they also take home different kinds of learnings, and you could see some mistakes made. For instance, the boxes, they use different covers for each of those boxes, and they have to correct those covers, and they also place them in a different way, and they also have to go through another correction. So for me, it's one of those challenges that we may go through, but they will be corrected as we progress on this one.
All right, so Mr. Okoye, just a quick one now. Was it ever considered that, you have the inscription of maybe for the presidential, the House of Reps, and senatorial names on the back of the ballot paper, so people don't need to unfold about to drop their ballots in the boxes?
We've not considered that particular. Possibility because these are security documents. I'm seeing the ballot papers for the first time, and as you know, the only person who knows the color of the ballot paper or in each of the states is only the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. I don't know the security features of any of the ballot papers. In fact, I have not physically seen any ballot paper as of today. Maybe when I step out of the studio and go to one polling unit, I'll have an opportunity of seeing how the ballot papers look. Only the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission has the security features in the ballot papers, has the color coding of the ballot papers, and knows how the ballot papers look. I've never seen any ballot paper in relation to this particular election. But as we go forward in our democratic process and in the electoral process, we will have an opportunity of learning from mistakes, learning from experiences, and also improving and being creative and innovative in terms of the way we manage our electoral process. But I think that we are not doing badly. We will get there, and things will continue to improve as we improve on our democratic culture and values.
Did you also put into consideration a situation whereby a voter puts in the wrong ballot paper in the wrong box? What does that mean? Will you invalidate that vote, or will you sort it out?
The challenge is that we may not likely sort it out, because each ballot for presidential elections, you are going to isolate the ballot box for presidential elections, sort out the votes in that particular ballot box, count them and record them, and sort out issues relating to that before you open the senatorial ballot box. The moment you begin to move ballot papers from one box to the other and vice versa, it will create a whole lot of confusion. So the moment you sort out presidential, you record it, and then you go to the senatorial, you finish with the senatorial, you go to the House of Representatives. So the moment you misplace or your ballot paper and you put the House of Representatives in the presidential ballot, very unfortunately, I'm not too sure that your ballot will be valid.